I'll talk about the person I met when I was young. In 1985, we found the bad's top secret material called Albatross, which was never put into practice. Imperial Forces Generalissimo Kilt has seen the plan and decided to execute the plan himself. The Federation tried to stop his attempt by sending our hero Super Joe, but lost contact with him. One brave man was sent with a special mission to rescue Super Joe. The story begins.
Sir, we lost Joe. Super Joe. I mean, he was captured.
What? He was our best hope against Kilt and finding the Albatross.
Yes, sir.
All right, who do we have left?
We have Captain Nathan Spencer, sir. But the soldiers call him Rad.
Lad? Okay. Send him out there.
It was Rad. Oh, never mind. One thing you need to know, sir. He doesn't jump.
What do you mean he doesn't jump? Do you mean he can't jump?
His legs work fine, sir. In fact, he can run a 5-minute mile. It is just he doesn't know how, sir.
Doesn't know how? You push the ground with your legs and then bend them in the air. What's so hard about that?
We gave him this arm.
Arm?
Yes, sir. A bionic arm with a grappling hook. He is quite proficient with it.
Wait, was this thing on?
Affirmative.
Well, suit up and get with the chopper crew. And Captain, get Joe back.
Yes, sir. Okay, you've heard the Colonel. We gotta go rescue Super Joe. Take me to Area 1. Yeah. Let's descend right here. I'll take this and that. Alright, it's time to see how this arm's gonna work. Yeah. Alright, seems like... Whoa! Whoa! A little bit funky. No worries. I'm getting it, ain't good. Yep. Oh, sorry, sir. Okay, time for a medevac. I don't know where you got that footage. This is what I remember. I first went to the communication tower. I didn't learn much, but it opened the door to the elevator. Once in, I found a small underground depot. It was a bit of rough going. I may have needed a few medevacs. I eventually found a door to the reactor core. The commander barked out a threat and I pumped him full of lead. I blew up the reactor and then picked up the much-needed medicine. I then made my way back to Area 13, a hospital district. I was asking around about Super Joe, but nobody knew anything. So I just picked up some flares from one of our guys and made my way to Area 4. Before I did, the helicopter pilot decided to burn some extra fuel and snagged an enemy truck. I had to fight my way through the ground troops in order to unhook the chopper. In Area 4, I entered a cave. This is where the flares kicked in. I shot one of those into the air, and it lasted forever. The Army Research Lab would be proud. Anyway, I reached another reactor, this time guarded by a large guy with a shield. I just ignored him and blew up the reactor. I picked up a wide cannon. I got back into the chopper, and the pilot just kept flying around all over the place like he was trying to hit another enemy truck. He did. So back on the ground I went. We stopped by the Area 15, and guess who was there? Killed. I really wanted to put a bullet in that guy's head. I really did. However, I kept the hospital rules until I had to shoot a barrier to get a communicator. Then the hospital staff got all keyed up. I eventually made it to Area 5. The reactor was at the top of a large tower. The enemy was a real thorn in my side, especially those chopper troopers. Ugh, the annoying choppers. I finally reached the reactor room, and an auto machine was guarding it. I easily dispatched it and took out the reactor. I picked up a rocket launcher and headed for Area 16. I first picked up a new communicator. Then I ran into this nerd herd guy. I don't know what his deal was. It's probably his helmet was on too tight. I found a guarded room, and inside there was a guy. He had pretty worthless advice, so yeah. I suppose that made him worth guarding. Guess. I got out of there and headed for Area 2. I descended to a heavily guarded bunker, and once inside I found myself knee-deep in sewer slime. It seems to have a mind of its own. Pretty nasty stuff. So I tried to avoid it wherever possible. It wasn't possible. I had a bit of trouble with a guy running a crane. I fell down a hole and had a bit of bad luck. Okay, I may have needed a few medevacs. Anyway, I made it to the reactor, and the rocket launcher made short work of it. Picked up a pendant and transferred to Area 10. Area 10 was something different.
Sir, it's Area 3.
First, the chopper pilot managed to land me right by a bunch of sand pits. And beyond those were giant man-eating plants and spiders as big as me. But that's not all the strange things. There was also alien things. And no, I haven't been in the rocket fuel again. The aliens hovered around me, so I whacked them away with my bionic arm. At the top of the cliff there was a door that led to the base. I took the elevator down to the communications. I didn't get much from that. Then there was this pit. Oh, the pit and the spikes. Painful, sharp spikes. There may have been a few accidents. I did eventually get to the door, fought a machine, blew up the reactor, picked up a rapid-fire device, which I never used. I'm pretty sure it ended up in a vast military depot somewhere. I transferred to Area 6, but before I did, I took a pit stop at Area 14. But they wouldn't let me in without a permit. So back to Area 6. It was some sort of ship depot. There were several intense swings, but I made it. Okay, after perhaps a few mishaps. A couple large soldiers were throwing spike balls at me, slowing my descent to the door. Once I made it in, I ran into a large cyborg. I decided to ignore it and focus on the reactor. I picked up a permit and headed to Area 14, where I got a new communicator. I then traveled to Area 8. That place was a maze, and it was packed full of troops. I fought and wandered my way through the communication room, where there was a strange message on the wiretap. The person on the line claimed to be Joe, Super Joe. I assumed it was a dark communication room, as he didn't know where he was. Why the enemy locked up Joe with the radio is beyond me. However, it speaks volumes about the great intellect of his capturers. I ran into a bit of trouble with the paratroopers and perhaps once again needed medical attention. 1 or 2 times. I put that behind me and worked my way through the maze and found another communication tower. Colonel Saunders was on and said Joe was in Area 9. So I made my way to the reactor where another hotshot said they could stop an RPG to the face. It didn't work. However, they had these guys with shields that were jamming my shots. And then I ran into some sort of, a bit of a situation. I got stuck bouncing on a group of enemy heads. One more bullet in the gut would have ended me. So I had to time my swing just right to get out of there. I put a few rockets into the reactor to finish it off. I grabbed a pair of boots and headed for Area 13 for a resupply. Before we arrived, the pilot once again ran straight into the enemy. Lucky for us, I was there to get us unstuck. Come on, Private Briggs. Anyway, in Area 13, some guy tried to rush me with a knife. So, of course, that made my trigger finger a little itchy, and the rocket left the barrel. The medics didn't see my side of the situation and began shooting at me. I ducked into the room and picked up the supplies. When I got out of there, they were after me again, and I went into another building, and the guy challenged me to shoot him, so I did. Well, that didn't improve my situation with the medics, so I left. Area 9 is an underground mining facility. I rode the mine carts and tried to dodge the spikes until I was able to find the reactor door. I found that Joe had been transferred, so I returned the message and blew up the area. Descending down to Area 17, there was another hospital. There was someone waiting for me inside the building. However, when I entered, an old-timer said I was young, which boosted my spirits. Gee, thanks, mister. I left that timer and headed towards the other building. In this building, I met with one of our spies, who informed me that they transferred Joe to Area 7. So I got in the chopper and hurried to the area, after I picked up the 3-way gun. So apparently Area 7 requires the 3-way to break the barrier. I equipped it, began my ascent up the mountain. The enemies had a lot of machinery, but the most annoying were those small choppers that kept coming and jamming my route up the mountain. There was this tricky part that requires swinging across a small line to the communication kind of reactor tower. It may have taken, an attempt or two, but I made it. I was then greeted by a cyborg who seems intent on stopping me. I ignored it and went for the reactor. Then I found Joe. Yes, they actually locked him in the communication room. Anyway, Joe explained the mission and told me to pick up the machine gun in the area. It's some type of awesome weapon that only the best soldiers use, and Joe told me to use that weapon. So with haste, I traveled to Area 18. I got into Area 18. There were several arms dealers. I thought to myself, now, what did Joe say? Well, this guy asked if I needed a machine gun, so I said yes. And I went in the building and picked it up. We again ran into an enemy, and I used that gun. Wouldn't you believe it? It was a total fake. I don't think it even squirted water. After dealing with the enemy, I went straight back to Area 18 to get my money back. Then I remembered what Joe said. Special Ops 3. So I hunted him down and got a genuine carbine-action Red Ryder machine gun, just like Super Joe.
Why didn't you seek out the hidden routes between 15 to 18 and 14 to 17? Captain, we had placed a helmet in there.
Well, I started to take a look, but after I fell into the drink in Area 18, I bailed on it and just headed for Area 10. I was really excited to try that machine gun out. So when the chopper pilot drove straight into the enemy, I was happy. I picked up the gun and descended. The gun couldn't shoot straight. The range leaves much to be desired. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. I grabbed my trusty rocket launcher and went into Area 10. Area 10 is some type of high-tech lab, with laser weapons constantly firing. There was a bit of a tricky climb ahead, and maybe a medvac or two, but I got the hang of it. Proceeded to the reactor core, but when I got there I had to take a ride on some red slime oozing from the wall. I didn't question it, I just thought, just ride it through, just ride it through. Just a machine guard in the reactor, so it was easily able to take care of it and pick up a medikit. I guess they were running low in the chopper supplies, so this was good. Area 11 was some type of metal refinery. They had open fire pits. I tried to swing past them, but I didn't have much luck, so I decided to take one for the team and ran onto the flame. The bitch made me fly into the air enough to catch the grappling hook on a ledge. From there, I biffed or bounced my way to the communications room. Hal informed me that Area 12 was locked down, and that Area 10 and 11 needed their reactors offline to open it. Lucky for me, I was already halfway there. Then something strange happened on their wiretap. It seemed I was tapping into an open mic from Colonel Sanders and Corporal Tate. They said Hal had a bazooka, but that Colonel Saunders thought he might botch the mission. Okay, I moved on. After some high-flying action, I made it to the reactor. Some more lasers and a weeby soldier. I blasted him away, then the reactor. I picked up a bulletproof vest. I got a feeling I'll test that out. On to Area 12. I put on the vest and tried to figure out the correct communicator. I may have tried a few times, but I found it. Then I got in contact with Joe, who gave me the lay of the land. Hal, I presume, was quite lost. With that info, I went to both areas and destroyed the reactors. This place was a bit of a maze, full of hazards like shocking floors, spike balls, plain old spikes, and the bulletproof vest, it sort of worked. I would probably call it bullet averse, mostly. I got in contact with Joe again. He said he was looking to take out the power source. The enemy is aware of his approach, but I left him to it. Anyway, I managed to take out both reactors, one of which seemed bulletproof, so I shot it several times. Then I took out the punk and shot it some more. Then I just kind of left. There was another reactor at the bottom of the shaft, so I took that one out and headed back up. I made it to the row of spikes. Maybe some more evacs. But I got a solid run through. Then I found Killed. He had got the laser cannon working, so he figured he didn't need Master D, D anymore. But it seemed Master D didn't need Killed anymore, as the reviving machine shocked and killed. He then sent the Albatross after me. The cannon failed to fire, the machine thrusters were firing in a sequence, so I focused on the reactor near the top with a rocket launcher. Just glad I didn't take Joe's machine gun in here. After a couple rounds, the machine blew up. As I was chasing down Master D, I ran into Hal. He looked a little beat up. A little medevac can do wonders. Anyway, he gave me the bazooka, even though I tried to tell him that a rocket launcher and a bazooka are basically the same thing, and I didn't need it. Whatever, I grabbed it, took a swing off the ledge, timed my shot through the glass and into Master D's face. It wasn't pretty, but it was pretty satisfying. I didn't have long to enjoy my victory as someone tripped the auto-destruct on the base. I only had 60 seconds to get out of there. I quickly made my ascent upwards when I ran into a cyborg who had a bone to pick with me. I figured I would let the base explosion take care of that pile of junk, so I just flew by her. I still had 30 seconds to spare when I exited, but I remembered Joe. He was still in there, probably Hal too, but Joe, Super Joe, could only pick one. The base exploded, but through the blast, my bionic arm caught a hold of the chopper as it escaped with me and Joe. Rest in peace, Hal. Rest in peace.
Now, so much time has elapsed and I'm old now. I think it's time for me to tell you the whole story. I hope this story will be told for a long time.